The start of the season has been a rollercoaster ride for Mercedes, and most of the time, they've been on the downhill part of the ride. The Brackley-based squad started the season poorly in Bahrain, but managed to recover some pace in Jeddah and outperform Ferrari. However, according to Hamilton, there is one underlying issue on the W14 that just doesn't give him the full confidence and potential to drive to the absolute limit. The bad news for him is that Russell doesn't seem to feel this issue at all. So in a time when his future with Mercedes isn't secured yet with a contract, turbulent times are coming for both him and the team. In Jeddah, Hamilton had a poor qualifying race, finishing P8, while his teammate Russell was able to finish P4, ahead of Sainz and behind Alonso. While the strategy was correct and Mercedes managed to get a sniff of the podium finish for a brief amount of time, it's definitely not where they want to be after the troublesome 2022 season. That is why Hamilton decided to speak out on the issues of the W14 yet again, revealing one problem that seemed to have derived from the team trying to fix all of the issues that troubled them back in the previous season. Even though the porpoising is no longer present on the W14, the increased drag and reduced stability are definitely making Hamilton and Russell's lives harder. At this point, it's evident that radical changes are needed to the car, and as Wolff and Elliott promised, radical changes are coming to the car sooner rather than later. That is why the team brought back some familiar faces, like James Allison, the technical director behind Mercedes from 2017 to 2021, and we're yet to see whether the newly designed W14 will suit Hamilton's needs. So, what's in the W14 now that Hamilton doesn't seem to like it at all? The strong front end is one of its main characteristics, and the fact that it came as a compensation when the car had too much of a rear end and low stability in 2022 goes to show that when you're trying to fix a problem, you often need to balance things to perfection. Hamilton spoke about this issue during the Saudi GP weekend, as he went on to add, "We're a long way down on downforce, so we've got to pick up the rear end downforce particularly. The more rear end we gain, the more stable the rear becomes, the more confident I'll be able to attack. But I think in general, just this car, even if we do change that, there's a specific thing with something on the car that I've never had before. It's a position I've not had in previous years' cars. For me, it's the thing that's making me uncomfortable. I've just got to work hard to make sure it is changed. It's on a knife edge when you're above about 95%, but when you're in a race stint, it's much more controllable and predictable." During the race and the qualifying laps of Hamilton and Russell in Saudi Arabia, it was evident that the first sector was definitely more dominated by Russell. This is a sector that he attacked viciously with the front end of his car, especially the combo of turn 1 and turn 2, where Hamilton approached it with a bit more caution in his W14. So at this point, the front end of the car, the one that is so pointy and troublesome to drive for Russell as well, is likely to go down in history, as Wolff himself said that the fundamental issue that bothers Hamilton needs to be fixed. However, it will take much more than just a couple of races, because as with everything on the W14, the issue that Hamilton and Russell are experiencing now are not the result of one single choice, rather a bunch of decisions. On the other hand, even with a troublesome car, Russell was still able to control the W14 much better than Hamilton, and he's been doing this for the second consecutive season. He's managed to outqualify Hamilton in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, and the fact that he kept the gap close to Alonso goes to show that Aston Martin were not that far ahead of Mercedes, and with the newly designed car, the W14 could very well compete for P2 in the Constructors' Championship. But there comes a time in which the team will definitely be capable of fighting for the World Championship, head-to-head with Red Bull, and as of now, it seems like their better choice for this potential fight is Russell and not Hamilton. The 7-time world champion has nothing left to prove to the world. He'll definitely go down as one of the greatest to ever do it. But one thing is for sure, at 38 years of age, there aren't many chances that you'll receive to fight up front, especially now when the regulations are so strict and the pecking order doesn't seem to shift drastically in between the teams. And one thing is for sure, Hamilton and Russell are still driving their cars with a different setup. That is something that left the fans baffled, but we're talking about setup preferences. And what is a very weird thing to hear is the fact that Hamilton said that if he had Russell's preferences in Saudi, then he would have finished the race even worse than where he actually did on Sunday. When talking about this matter, the 7-time world champion was asked what the influence that he and Russell have in terms of strategy calls and setting up the car is, something to which he added, "We work on that. There was like a 50-50 choice. I chose one way, he chose another. More often than not, where he went is the wrong one, but it just happened to work, so I could only match his pace rather than be quicker this weekend. But I'll work hard to make sure that we're in a better place. It's definitely not the best place right now for Hamilton, and the fact that Mercedes has opted out for a design that isn't guaranteeing them any success in the near future, given how much development they've lost ever since the beginning of the new era, only goes to show that there will be some tough times ahead of the team. One thing that we do know about Hamilton is that he's a loyal human being, and he'll definitely commit long-term to Mercedes. However, at 38 years of age, even Wolff acknowledged that Hamilton needs to look somewhere else, and that is perfectly fine with the team. Rumours are that Hamilton will extend his racing time for no more than 2 years, no matter the team he'll choose, and with Mercedes not being able to provide him with a championship-winning car, it's definitely one of the biggest mysteries right now. Will Hamilton keep committed to Mercedes, or will he try to win a championship in a team that can offer him a seat, like Ferrari in the near future? Let's not take ourselves too far with the rumours, and let's see on the positive side. Mercedes were able to find more pace in Jeddah, so much so that they're now faster than Ferrari, a fact that surprised Hamilton on the positive side. When talking about it, the 7-time world champion said, "It's definitely strange to see the Ferrari behind us. It's positive for us. It's a different surface here, and we don't really understand why on this surface our car works one way and it's different in another. But there are lots of positives to take from this weekend. It will be up and down throughout the first 3 races. Hopefully we can get some upgrades ASAP and try to close that gap to the Aston Martins. And on the other hand, Mercedes are very happy with the gains they were able to obtain in the R&D gains, are much bigger than the team has had in a long time. And now that the new design is coming, one thing is for sure, Mercedes will need a lot of time to spend in the aerodynamic facilities if they want to be competitive yet again. That is something they can count on, and compared to Red Bull, their time in the wind tunnels and CFD factories is 17% more. So through the middle of the season, or even earlier in Imola, we're bound to see a W14 car that will take up the fight against the top teams, and hopefully stir up the pecking order as well. One thing that the team will definitely have to work on is Hamilton's future, and in times where they aren't the best team on the grid, like they used to be from 2014 to 2021, it's going to be very difficult to keep the 7-time world champion at bay. And with how Russell's been progressing in a troublesome car, we cannot help but wonder, is the new era in Mercedes already underway? What do you think about Mercedes and Hamilton's complaints about the W14? Do you think that they have what it takes to build a championship-winning car? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.